Dear students, the next topic for the discussion is fibrinolytics and antifibrinolytics. Coming to fibrinolytic system, it helps to lyse the fibrin clot formed at the site of injury. Usually, following an injury, platelet plugs are formed to arrest the bleeding. These platelet plugs are reinforced with the help of fibrin deposition. So, thrombus is formed. Later, once the repair is done, there will be clot lysis. There comes the role of fibrinolytic system. The normal physiology of fibrinolysis is demonstrated in this picture. The plasmin is the enzyme which is responsible for the breakdown of fibrin network. Plasmin is generated from the plasminogen with the help of tissue plasminogen activator, which is denoted by TPA. This tissue plasminogen activator is generated from the vascular endothelium, and this tissue plasminogen activator selectively activates the plasminogen to form plasmin, and the plasmin break down the fibrin network. The plasminogen can be either circulating in the plasma or it bound to the fibrin. That means when a thrombus is formed, plasminogen is already bound to the fibrin network. So this tissue plasminogen activator selectively activates the fibrin bounded plasminogen to form plasmin. The activity of tissue plasminogen activator is counterchecked by the plasminogen activator inhibitor 1 and 2, which is denoted by PAI 1 and 2. Once the plasmin is free in the plasma, its activity is checked by antiplasmin, that is denoted by AP. As I already said, plasminogen is in two forms: circulating form as well as in bound form. Bound form means bound to the fibrin. Tissue plasminogen activator, which is selective to the bound form of the plasminogen, which is inactivated by plasminogen activator inhibitor 1 and 2. Coming to the plasminogen activators, these agents activate the plasminogen to form plasmin. So the plasmin goes and breaks down the fibrin network. Intrinsically, we have tissue plasminogen activator, kallikrein and factor 12A in our body, and we use certain extrinsic drugs, for example streptokinase, urokinase, alteplase, ractiplase and tenecteplase as plasminogen activators. These agents activate the plasminogen system, which leads to breakdown of fibrin network. So clot lysis is taking place. Next is antiplasmins. That means the drugs or agents which opposes the action of plasmin. By using these antiplasmins, we can prevent the plasmin mediated bleeding. When you use plasminogen activators in an excessive amount, there will be clot lysis and bleeding. So this bleeding can be prevented with these antiplasmins. So we have two intrinsic agents in our body, alpha 2 antiplasmin and alpha 2 microglobulin, and extrinsic agents or drugs are epsilon aminocaproic acid and tranexamic acid. Coming to clinically important fibrinolytics, we have natural as well as recombinant agents. Streptokinase and urokinase are the natural preparations, and recombinant agents are alteplase, retiplase and tenecteplase. Coming to streptokinase, it is the first clinically used fibrinolytic drug obtained from the group C beta hemolytic streptococci. It is non-specific, that means this agent activates both the fibrin bound as well as the free form of the plasminogen. So there may be chances of bleeding. Streptokinase forms activator complex with plasminogen. So there will be conformational changes as well as exposure of certain active site in the plasminogen, which leads to the proteolysis of other plasminogen molecules. The cost of this drug is low on comparing to the other agents. The side effects are hypotension, hypersensitivity reactions, fever and arrhythmias. Coming to the limitations of streptokinase. This agent is antigenic. There is chances of anti-streptococcal antibodies formation because this agent is produced from the streptococcal organisms. The formation of anti-streptococcal antibodies reduces the efficacy, and this streptokinase is less effective in MI than other fibrin specific tissue plasminogen activators. Next is urokinase. It was initially isolated from the human urine, and now this agent is commercially prepared from the cultured human kidney cells. There is direct activation of plasminogen and no need of formation of any activator complex, and the urokinase is non-antigenic. Urokinase is indicated in patients previously treated with streptokinase. The formation of anti-streptococcal antibodies reduces the efficacy of streptokinase if you use this agent second time in the same patient. So in such cases urokinase is preferred. The common side effect is fever. Next agent is Alteplase. It's a recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. This agent is moderately specific for the fibrin bound plasminogen. Alteplase is rapidly cleared by the liver with a half-life of around 4 to 8 minutes. Alteplase is not antigenic. It is an expensive drug, and the side effects are nausea, fever and hypotension. Coming to Retiplase, it is a modified longer acting form of the recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. It can be administered as bolus. It has long half-life 15 to 20 minutes, and its side effects profile is similar to that of Alteplase. Next we have Tenecteplase. It's a genetically engineered substituted mutant of native tissue plasminogen activator. This agent is highly selective for the fibrin bound plasminogen. It has slower plasma clearance and is resistant to the inhibition by plasminogen activator inhibitor 1. It is the only fibrinolytic agent that can be administered as a single IV bolus. The main indications of the fibrinolytics are acute myocardial infarction, ischemic stroke, deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism and peripheral arterial occlusion. In acute myocardial infarction, fibrinolytics are used as alternatives to the emergency percutaneous intervention with stenting. Recanalization can be achieved in 50 to 90% of the cases, but the time lag is the critical thing here. First 1 hour is considered as the golden hour, and it can be administered effectively up to 6 hours. In stroke or cerebrovascular accidents, fibrinolytic agents are indicated in the ischemic stroke. They should not be used in hemorrhagic stroke. Treatments should be started within 3 hours of onset after ruling out the possibility of hemorrhagic stroke, because this agent may exacerbate the bleeding. So the condition of the patient may getting worse in case of hemorrhagic stroke. Fibrinolytic therapy in deep vein thrombosis provides around 60% of the success rate. It reduces the pain and swelling as well as reduces the risk of pulmonary embolism. Early institution of fibrinolytics in DVT helps in the preservation of venous valves. Fibrinolytics are indicated in the life-threatening pulmonary embolism. They help to preserve the lung function in this scenario. In peripheral arterial occlusion, fibrinolytics are preferred when surgical thrombectomy is not possible, and they provides a success rate of 40% when given within 72 hours. The regional administration is considered to be more successful. These agents have no role in chronic peripheral vascular diseases. Next is contraindications to fibrinolytics. Fibrinolytics should not be used in intracranial hemorrhages or those with history of ischemic stroke or head injury in past 3 months, in intracranial tumor, vascular abnormalities, aneurysms, and in active bleeding or bleeding disorders. They are also contraindicated in peptic ulcer and esophageal varices, those with history of recent wound fracture, tooth extraction, or major surgery in the past 3 weeks, and in uncontrolled hypertension as well as in pregnancy. Moving on to antifibrinolytic drugs. They inhibit plasminogen activation. Usually these agents are used to prevent or check the bleeding associated with the use of fibrinolytic agents. We have two clinically important antifibrinolytic drugs. The first one is epsilon aminocaproic acid. It's a lysine analog drug. It inhibits the binding sites of plasmin and plasminogen on fibrin. These are effective as specific antidote for fibrinolytic drugs, useful in hemophilics, and they have the ability to cause intravascular thrombosis. Rapid IV administration of epsilon aminocaproic acid produces bradycardia, hypotension, and arrhythmias. Its use should be cautious in those with bradycardia, and very rarely this agent causes myopathy. Second agent is tranexamic acid. Its actions are also similar to that of epsilon aminocaproic acid, but this agent is more potent. Antifibrinolytics are indicated in bleeding due to fibrinolytics, hemophilic patients, in those with menorrhagia following tonsillectomy, prostatic surgery, tooth extraction, cardiopulmonary bypass surgery, in patients with recurrent epistaxis, in hyphema due to ocular trauma, and in gastrointestinal hemorrhages. The activators and inhibitors of the plasmin-plasminogen system can be summarized in this picture. Plasminogen is converted into plasmin, and this plasmin break down the fibrin into the fibrin fragments. This pathway is inhibited by certain intrinsic and extrinsic agents. The intrinsic agents are tissue plasminogen activator, kallikrein, and factor 12A. Extrinsically we have streptokinase, urokinase, alteplase, reteplase, and tenecteplase. This pathway is inhibited by several agents. We have certain extrinsic agents like epsilon aminocaproic acid and tranexamic acid, and intrinsic agents like antiplasmins, microglobulin, and plasminogen activator inhibitor, which inhibits the tissue plasminogen activator. That's all about fibrinolytics and antifibrinolytics. Thank you.